Well, Rick and Morty Season 5 aired last night at 11 p.m. and let me say it is off to a great start. When I saw Season 4's premiere, I thought it was kind of lackluster, but that was the exact opposite for this episode. The promo for this premiere barely scratched the surface of what was going to happen in this episode. So after Morty crash lands in the ocean, Rick has to have dinner with Mr. Nimbus and discuss their terms, and Morty tries to have a normal night with Jessica. And the night pretty much goes to shit for both of them. For instance, Rick had a really annoying dinner with his nemesis and then got beat the shit out of by his nemesis. And Morty accidentally created generations upon generations of people that were raised to want to kill him when he returns. Now, I'd say Rick and Morty for a while was falling into this weird spiral, but it didn't really feel like the old show that it used to be. But it's really come back hard since the second half of Season 4. I don't know what the hell Mr. Nimbus was, but I really liked this character. It was something new and wacky, and Dan Harmon provided an excellent voice for his character.
So how can he...
Jesus, Summer. He's Mr. Nimbus. He controls the police.
Beth and Jerry spend this entire episode just trying to have sex with Mr. Nimbus, and they succeed. So well done, I guess. Overall, this was an amazing premiere and a really good start to this season, so thumbs up for me. Yeah. Well, shit. I just finished the 1-hour Rick and Morty Season 5 finale, and let me just say I really enjoyed it. The first part follows Rick as he leaves Morty behind and takes on his new sidekick, Two Crows. Well, Morty spends this episode trying to figure out where he stands without Rick. I really enjoyed that Rick spent most of the episode doing a bit in spite of Morty, but then finally learned empathy from the Crows and realized how toxic his relationship is with Morty. And I really like that Morty originally spends this episode trying to get back at Rick for replacing him. I also really enjoy the fact that this episode and this entire season really shows how far Morty has grown since Season 1. Part 1 was a pretty solid episode, but it pretty much just sets up Part 2. I originally thought this was going to be a big hour-long story and not two episodes that kind of had nothing to do with each other put together. Don't get me wrong, I really did like Part 1, but all it really does is set up Part 2. And look, I love me a good hour-long block of Rick and Morty. I just don't see why these episodes couldn't have just came out weekly. It's not like it was going to change anything. But yeah, Part 2 is really where this finale starts to shine. So Part 1 ends off with Rick leaving Earth and going with Two Crows to do thousands of adventures, a bunch of seasons, and a bunch of fun. While also leaving Morty really missing his grandpa and not really knowing what to do with himself afterwards. Part 2 picks up with Rick on his own with Two Crows and Morty still trying to get him to come back home. Rick isn't convinced until he finds out that the Two Crows were just using him to get back to their old friend Scared Crow Man. I think that was his name. After Rick returns home, the characters go to the Citadel of Ricks, which is now being run by President Morty, who you might remember from Season 3 is actually Evil Morty, who's actually from Season 1! Oh, it all comes back together! Yeah, Part 2 is a massive lore dump, where we finally learn Rick's entire backstory and why he is the way he is. If you were someone who's a little bummed out at the end of Season 3 because it had nothing to do with Evil Morty, well, the end of Season 5 delightfully delivers. If I'm gonna be honest, I thought the only lore we were gonna get this season was the Bird Person episode, but turns out I was dead wrong. I love that we were finally able to see what Evil Morty was up to since Season 3. It looks like his plans kind of just been brewing up in the background for nobody to notice. Although I did think that Space Beth would have been a bigger part of this season, and they kind of just handled her off screen, so who knows, maybe this won't be brought back up until like Season 8. I also like that Adult Swim told me that there was going to be a Part 2, just in case I forgot that they said that. So that was neat. I like that. I like when the TV talks to me. Now, I really did like this finale, but I don't know how I feel about Season 5 overall. I feel like I enjoyed every other episode, and I really am upset about that, because I do love this show. I feel like the season started off really strong, and it was just a little hard to top that first episode, so it was a little bumpy, but overall, I don't think it was a bad season, just one that I wish I enjoyed more. Who knows, maybe I'm just crazy, because I do know people who really enjoyed Season 5, but opinions are opinions for a reason, and if you don't like mine, well, that's just another opinion. Star Wars The Bad Batch has been going strong 12 episodes now. Something I never expected to see was younger versions of the Star Wars Rebels characters. Hell, Little Hera was like the main character of the most recent 2 episodes, and a younger version of Kanan showed up in the first episode. And it's kinda making me want to watch Star Wars Rebels. Now, I don't think I'm gonna do that because I've done it before and I personally do not like that show. But they're focusing on these characters again and giving us more information about them and building the reasons why we should like this character. It kind of just makes me wish that Star Wars Rebels was more enjoyable. Another thing that I really like that they've done so far was bring back Cad Bane. That was awesome. You guys touched my heart. He's not canonically dead anymore, so that was cool beans. I personally think they brought him back because they're going to put him in Book of Boba Fett. But hey, what do I know? I don't actually know anything. I don't know why I said that. The season's really been going strong and it hasn't had any bad episodes yet. This is the perfect sequel show to Clone Wars. Picks up right where the show left off, and it knows its characters well enough to not f*** up writing them. I just realized how many characters in Rebels already knew the Bad Batch. Kanan met them in episode 1, but he wouldn't really bring that up because it gives him PTSD. Rex fought with them in Clone Wars and was in an episode of Bad Batch. Hera most recently just met them. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ahsoka shows up soon because she had to do something around this time and she's getting her own show soon, so it would make sense. Before I wrap this video up, I'd like to talk about something that I noticed back in episode 8, and it's that Cad Bane's duel with Hunter reminds me a lot of his duel with Boba Fett. They both have extremely similar angles and shots, which makes me think, did they take inspiration from this scene, or is it an homage? Is this foreshadowing for Cad Bane's death later in the show? If they end up killing him off this season, I just hope they stick to what they originally have planned, because it looked really cool and I want to see that episode. I've been watching Star Wars The Bad Batch since it debuted on May 4th, and I'm really excited to see where the creators decide to take this show. I'll see you guys later. Save Norbit now, and goodbye.